Welcome back. This is Better Mix for CG Tots Plus, and this is part 2 of the fence. We're back in Houdini, and now we're gonna make this cool tool. We're gonna make this a UI, make it a tool, make it shareable, tweakable, etc., and all very cool. So let's start by digging. This is where we left off in the modeling section. So let's uh, get deep into the tool, and this is where we left off, and this is all the nodes we created. Let's see. We need to pack this all into a tool, so we don't want the curve here, which is the base curve, to be inside the tool. We're gonna make that external. So just select everything right here except the curve, and let's just click this button right here, or Shift C, like the pop-up help says there. Click it, and that's gonna pack it all into a subnet, which is just a group of nodes. If we dive into there, you can see that we have everything inside there. And this is interesting. This is bringing an input and plugging it here, so that's how the curve is gonna plug into those nodes right there. So this subnet is not a digital asset yet. Houdini digital asset is actually a tool, and Houdini uses a bunch of them to work here. So this tool is gonna be very easily done. Once we have the subnet, let's just call this out a fence tool, and to convert that to a tool, there we go. We right click on it and select create digital asset down here. Just click that, and the properties show up. So you need to name it. Let me just name mix, and the label is gonna show up here. We have some options for minimum inputs and maximum inputs. In this case, our tool just takes one input, and that's it, one input only. And where are we gonna save this is very important. If we click here, I'm gonna save it in my documents and Houdini's folder, and inside a folder called OTLs, which if you save your tools there, Houdini will read them each time you launch it. As you can see, I have another tool here in my fence. I'm gonna click name this mix out of fence tool, so I don't have a conflict of naming some labels with my other tool, and it will create an OTL file. An OTL file can contain several tools, and I usually don't pack a lot of tools into an OTL unless they are all modeling tools, or all my rigging tools, or something like that. But in this case, we're just gonna make one OTL file for one tool, and just click accept that. And right here, the only thing we need to do now is click accept, and there we go. It shows us the operator type properties. So here we're not gonna use any of this but the parameters tab. That's all that we're gonna use for the UI of the tool. If I close this right now, you can see that there's the tool, but has no parameters right now, and it's also in red. So what does red mean? Red means it's in edit mode, and when you finish the tool and create a new tool out of that, and I can even create one right now. There's my tool, and it's cyan or bluish, and that means that that tool is not gonna be able to be, you cannot edit this tool. If we can dive into the tool, but you can see all the parameters are grayed out, so it's locked. So this means edit mode locked, edit mode locked. So let's just delete this one and let's work on our tool. Let's add some parameters to our UI. So to start, just right click, and it's not gonna be on your visible area, on the screen recording area, but it's the last option is type properties, and it opens up the type properties window again. So the tool that I created had 4 sections, 4 tabs, so that's what we are gonna create here. So how do you create those tabs, those attributes, those parameters, that UI? Well, you have these tools right here, which is actually how you create the UI. And how do you add them? Was you just click in and drag them. And in this case, I dragged a folder, and you can create it or delete it. And a folder, if I drag a folder again and hit apply, you can see we already have a tab there, and that's what folders do, they create tabs. So we need 4 of them. Let's add 4 because we need 4 sections. If I hit apply, you can see we have 4 tabs there already usable, but they are named folder name each one. So let's give them a meaningful name. Globals is going to be the first one. The second one is going to be boards, and the third one is going to be corner posts, and the fourth one is going to be supports. For the supports, all the parameters there is going to be holding these parameters for the board, for the supports. And there we go, we have 4 tabs and we named them correctly. Now let's add a parameter to the control the global height of the fence. Go here, and for that we need a float. So just click and drag the float to the globals, and there we go. If I hit apply this right now, I already have an attribute here and slider, and I can do whatever I want here. But we need to configure this. First, the name, let's just put global height and global height in the label, and hit apply, and there we go, we have an error. Okay, type it correctly, global height, and but it doesn't do anything right now, it's just there. So let's add another one. Maybe we want to control the global scale of the tool, because we need to control the global scale. You've seen maybe bigger, smaller than mine, or global scale. Come on, global scale. There we go, hit apply, and now we have a slider for the global scale. Now you notice these sliders go from 0 to 10, and they do nothing right now. So we can control the default value and the range right here. If we activate this range part, there we go, we have the range, and it goes from 0 to 10. Let's just say for global scale we want to go from -5, or no, not -5, like 0.1 to 10, and that's gonna be the scale, and apply. And when we slide this, we cannot go to 0 right now, because we may not want to have a scene that fence that is nothing, but we can make it very small, and we can lock this so nobody goes down. But we cannot we can leave the positive value open, and we can even type 20, and there we go, we have 20. But we cannot type -45 because it's locked, and it will not do that. It will do it, but I don't know. So go to the global height and do the same thing. The height, we're gonna leave it open from -5 to 5. I don't know, someone wanna might have a use for that. So go to the channels here. If in the channels area we can declare the defaults for the values, and we're gonna add 1 to both of those values, and there we go. There are 1 goes to 0 to 10, and hey, where's my range? Apply, and the height from 0 to 10. It's not updating. Let me just, there we go. Nope. Height -5 to 5. Apply it. That's weird. It's not applying. Why is that? -6. There we go. It is applied now. I don't know why that wasn't working, but it's working now. Apply. And we can go for -5 to 5, and the default is 1, and this one goes from 0.01 to 10, and the default is 1. But they do nothing right now, so let's hook them up. Let's play with this. So for the global scale first, the global scale, well, it's just gonna scale the whole thing, so let's add a transform at the end. And a transform has this uniform scale, which just does exactly what we need. So how do we plug that parameter here? So let's bring the parameters for the tool here, floating, and just copy this parameter and paste it right here as a relative reference, and that's it. That's easy. No rocket scientists here to build interfaces in Houdini. You can see if I move this, unless rocket scientists do stuff by copying and pasting. So if I move this parameter here, it's already working, and it's giving us our global scale. If our fence is small, we can scale it up, move it up, let's make it smaller. Just leave it at that for now. The height's doing nothing, and we're gonna hook it up. We're gonna hook the height a bit later. So let's just go to the boards for now. Open the type properties again, and the boards are gonna have, first of all, it's gonna have the width of the boards. So for the width, we're gonna use a different method now. Let's just put this apart for now. Go to the section where the boards are. There we go. Here's the board, and the board, if we move the size on X, you can see I can control you can see here in the viewport, I can control the width right there. So I can use this parameter in the interface. So let's bring this back. And how I can bring it? Well, I can drag it. I could drag it if this window stays on top, but stay on top. I could just drag it, and there we go. And the other thing I can do is just right click it and export it, and this will export it here. So this is very easy to add. So just name it correctly, board width, so we know what we're doing. And right here we can also drag this stuff, and you can see we can organize stuff, like the parameter first got down here, and I just drag it into the boards folder. If I just apply that, you can see this is hooked up now. It says that it's hooked to board width, and I don't need to do that. And if I go and play with this now, I have the board width. I can control it right now. I can even make it 0, but I don't want that. So let's fix that. Go to the type properties again, not for that tool, but for this one. Type properties, and lock this one to not have 0 because 0 might be bad and may not need 10. Let's make the slider go to 5. Again, this is just a slider. We can always type any other value we want there, so don't worry. You'll get your boards are as wide as you want. So the other parameter here we need is the height. So go to the board again, the board box, and the height is right here. Remember when we were modeling this, we choose 6 as the height, and if we modify that now, we can still control the height. So again, just like this one, we're gonna export the parameter to type properties. This time I'm gonna drag it and put it right where I want it and name it board height. Board height and board height. There we go. Again, we don't want any height less than 0.1, and 10 is a good number. Apply that. So there we go. The default height is okay for now, and let's hit apply. And again, this is not in the correct place. There we go. Apply. If we see the parameters now for the tool, we have control of the width and the height. Let's just revert them to the defaults. Now the other thing we need is the depth of the tool of the boards. We do have another parameter here for the scale, but that scales in from the center of the box, so that might not be useful because it intersects with the two ports right here. So if you see, we want them to scale from here to the outside, not in. So let's just put this where it was. So we're gonna create a new transform for that, to control that. We'll create a transform right here, and let's name this board depth. So that depth, let me just focus on that. That transform node has its pivot at the origin, but we don't want it at the origin. We want it right here where the board start. So if we remember, we moved the board a little bit. So we're gonna move the pivot in X here. If we can see we are moving the pivot right there, just at that little blue point right there. We're gonna move it negatively in the negative direction in 0.3 units. If we see that from the top, there we go. That's flush on the board. So now, if we use this transform to scale that in the X direction, the board is gonna stay in its place, and it's gonna give us the depth that we want. So we're going to use this value as the depth of the tool. So let's open the type properties again and drag this to the boards and name it board depth, and call it board depth for the board depth for the level. The range, I'm gonna leave the range open, but just a little bit narrower. If we go to the parameters of the tool now, I can see that I have that depth there. I can go to 0, but and even past 0. Maybe I want to use it from the other side. I don't know. You may want to have, might find that useful. So the other thing we need now is the border gap. And if you remember, when we were building this in the sample sub, we used the board width plus some value, and this value is going to be the gap. So let's open the type properties and create a float there, and put it down here. Come on, right there. Board gap, and name this board gap. Let's apply that and open the parameters now, and we have the board gap. Let's put point. Let's leave it at 0, just so you see how this thing works. So we're gonna replace this now with the board gap here. So let's now type manually the expression. I just press Alt E to open this external editor, or this bigger editor, then instead of typing right here, so you can see it. And you can see we reference a channel by going to using the channel expression and typing the path to the channel. So this channel name is board gap, board capital GAP. So we're gonna use that here. Gonna type channel and gonna go one level up, and it's board gap. There we go, board gap. Hit enter, apply and accept. And now if we see the result of this, go to the result, you can see we have no gap. And why we have no gap? Because the gap is at 0 right now. Let's move it, and where we go, we have a gap. But if we reset that, the gap is at 0, but so we may not want to have that as the default of 0. So just put 0.3 as the default and hit apply and accept and go to the default, and there we go. We can control the gap now. Okay, so now that we have the gap, let's go to just control the bevel and the detail and the size of the bevel. Let's add those parameters here, and they are here. These two ones are the ones we're gonna use. So open the type properties again. I know I'm closing it and opening it a lot, but this is how it goes. Let's just drag these attributes right here. We don't need to do any fancy stuff. Let's just call them board bevel, board bevel size, and board bevel size. Apply that. Board bevel detail, board bevel detail. Accept and apply that, and now if we open the parameters, we have the size and this is one that we're gonna tweak, because you can see this is very sensitive and it goes way off. And this one, we may not want to have a lot of detail here, so let's just tweak that. Open the type properties, and the first one's gonna be a bevel detail. It's gonna go from 0 to 3, maximum of 3. Apply that. And the size, since this is such a small value, and this slider is still sensitive, we may want to tweak a little. So click here to show the expression, and type here, let's multiply this by 0.0.01 something. So now you can see that 0.01 is too much. 0.01, and you can see that we have much more control here. We can go from 0 to 10, and we are controlling the value of the bevel there. And we may want to have like 5 for the default. What's the default of the board? 0. Let's just modify that also. The default for the bevel size is gonna be 5 now, and the detail is gonna be 1. Apply and accept, and there we go. We have those guys as the defaults, and that's cool. We have all the controls for the bevel now, for the bevel and for the boards. So let's stop there, and we're gonna do the corner post in the second part of this tutorial, and we're gonna finish in the second part with the corner posts and the supports. So let's go into part 2.